Hi everyone, my name is Dena and I'm a business evangelist with Microsoft in Ireland. I really love having the opportunity in this role to learn from companies who have built successful IP solutions and ultimately businesses using Microsoft technologies. I'm really excited to be here today with John Purdy, who's CEO of Ergo, a leading IT company in Ireland, and as well with Neil Young, the managing director of FlowForma, the latest spin-off company from Ergo. Guys, I'm really excited to have you guys here today to be able to tell our audiences and give us a great example of a company that has actually built a successful business model using IP built on Microsoft technologies. So John, if I can just start, I'd like to ask you, what is this whole idea of building IP meant to you and your company?
So we've got people who are interfacing and facing off to customers every day. It's a great source of innovation. We have found ways of capturing that innovation, putting it through a process and turning it into product companies. That has a whole lot of benefits. It gives us a massive differentiator within the marketplace against our competitors. It creates really strong shareholder return, and recently as a year ago, we exited from one of our product companies with a very strong return for our shareholders. So we were able to give our shareholders who've been with us for a long time a return for their buck, which is really important.
Absolutely.
And thirdly, it allows us build intrapreneurs. So people who have entrepreneurial skills, we keep them within the family, provide them with oxygen, provide them with funding, provide them with support, so they can share in the upside of the new product business. So it's a win-win-win all over.
Yeah, no, and I love that word, intrapreneur. That's a great, and I appreciate how exciting that can be to keep that talent in-house and develop companies. So tell us then, where did that journey and that idea around creating this IP solution for FlowForma, where did that come to life?
So I think first of all, it's as people who run services companies know, it's really hard to make money. You've got the utility or the utilization, let's say, crunch month on month, making sure you have the right number of professional services days one, the right number of people to deliver it, etc., etc. Whereas we can create much greater value in a product company than we can ever create in a services company. But we can leverage the services experience into the product business. Mm-hmm. So the idea of FlowForma came from a SharePoint engagement that we had with a multinational business that was involved in building electronics for the car industry, who wanted an approvals process for CapEx, but who wanted the self-service element. And Neil and a couple of others saw this as a great idea, came back, developed it, built it into a proof of concept, brought it to the board and said, we think we've got something here. We went along a journey in terms of validating it with the market. We spent a small amount of money, we got another proof point, and then we said, okay, let's go and build a business around this.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. You know, what's really interesting is that being a 4-time Microsoft Partner of the Year for Ireland, you know, obviously Ergo is a hugely successful company. So when we branch out and create the spinoff of FlowForma, we're still starting from the beginning, and we have to think about things like financing, right? Yeah. So Neil, maybe you can give us an idea of, you know, how you approached the whole financing question and which routes you took to secure the funding that you needed.
Yeah, great. So initially, obviously we went to the board in Ergo, and from there we went through certain stages, but we had that comfort blanket, so we were incubated inside a large services organisation, which really helped. But that gets you to a certain point. There was other things we had to do in terms of test the market and market research, and we worked with companies, organisations such as state agencies like Enterprise Ireland, whereby they would provide funding and support on the initiatives that we were working through. So those elements and those grants that are available really helped us get to a certain place. But in terms of where we are at the moment, you know, you get to a certain place where you're incubated, and then you're looking to spin out from there. That funding is not there anymore. So you're looking at what's external funding options that you can provide, what can you move forward with. So we've gone through an external funding exercise. We've also engaged back with Enterprise Ireland to help us with that. But that has provided us our own energy and our own funding to see us through for the next few years.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. That's really helpful to hear. You mentioned there in part of your answer around this idea of research and having to build that business case to, satisfy the requirements of the various stakeholders. For folks that are just starting out along this journey, can you give us some tips on how you go about that research?
Yes. I mean, so we had a few ideas ourselves, but validating that yourself internally it only takes you so far, and it doesn't you're not validating with the external market. So when we built out a prototype of where we seen a future product, we would have engaged with an external market research company. They would have conducted a survey in the UK and in the States with IT directors, etc., from different segments, and to see, was the product viable. Will they see a fit in their market? Will they see a fit within their companies, etc.? And that proves quite strong feedback. But I think that external validation is really important, and not just to stop there. So today we would still use external validation with our customers, with potential prospects, and put them in the room with case studies and go through with them. Do they see validity in the product still and the future features? So I think that external validation is really important at the start, essential, and as you move through, not to let it go, keep it continuous.
Very good.
Yeah.
And you use the word external a few times, which actually is a nice segue to something else I really want to dig into. So, Irish-based company, right? But I know that part of your initial strategy as you're looking to grow the company is you created a channel a sales channel that's focused primarily on the UK market.
Yeah.
So where does that idea come about?
Yeah. So we when we were working through the product and we were bringing customers on board in the local market, we've also identified opportunities outside. The Microsoft partner network is quite strong and extensive, and we've seen some partners initially coming to us from the UK saying, really interested in your product, what can it do for us here? And it evolved from there, where we built it out to more partners, and we're looking now beyond the UK. We've some partners in the wider European landscape, partners in the States, and so on. So it's really growing inside that Microsoft partner network base.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And John, back to you. I know that so FlowForma is a successful company that's growing quite quickly. But I know that originally you incubated FlowForma as a business group within the Ergo business group for, like I said, 18 months. So where did that decision come from to actually spin it out as a separate entity?
So I think one of the learnings we would have got in our first product company, Ergo, is that it's got a massive different culture. Product company has a different culture to a services company. It needs its own oxygen, its own money, its own management team, its own bandwidth. So it's a bit like taking your firstborn and pushing them out of the family home to live on their own. You've got to do it, and it's painful. You're there to support them, but it's the right thing to do. The same thing with in our two examples. Our product company started to really flourish when they left the family home, and I think as a concept, incubating is really, really good, but at some stage this has to be a real grown-up company and has to be self-sustaining.
Right.
I also believe that the bringing in external people and bringing in external money is important, and it puts a rigor around the business, and it also creates a timeline around a potential exit, because the external shareholders will want a return, and often clearly defined that's in 3, 5 or a similar amount of years. So it creates that rigor that very often is not within owner managed services companies.
No, absolutely. That's really good insight. I think that our audiences are going to benefit from. So Neil, before we close up, again, one successful company coming from an even larger successful company, you're in charge, you're steering this ship, as John would say. So tell us, are there any lessons, best practices that you've learned along this journey of building a new business, particularly around IP?
Yeah.
Anything that our audiences might benefit from hearing?
Yeah. So I mean, you talk about IP. Defendable IP is one thing we've really focused on. And so what does that mean? So essentially, how do we build up a product that's differentiated in the market and has enough within that product to deal with in terms of competitors, and have enough value within that IP that we can bring real value to our external customers. So we constantly think about how defendable our IP is against competitor products, and how the value that we bring to our external customers. So that's something to always keep within your thought process. I mean, John mentioned about the spin out and what we went through. One of the valuable lessons is when we step out, so hire for your gaps. So who are the people that we need around us to make sure we succeed, and experience that we've brought in from a sales level, from a marketing leadership level, financial control, and the technology, steering those ships as well.
Yeah.
Having all that at a level when you step out of the incubation period getting the right people in at that stage is really key, and we've been successful in doing that. The final piece around that and everything that's we're pushing to make this really scale, having a strong board in place when you step out. So John is one of our board members, as is Mark Murphy, who would have been from Ergo, so he's gone through this process before. And we have Purdy who is our chairman, and would have built up a business in a similar landscape. So having a really strong board, having a really strong leadership team, and constantly thinking about defendable IP and how we can differentiate it within the market.
I love it. So what I'm hearing is, really amazing solutions, clever solutions built on the Microsoft technologies, and strong partnerships to help you grow quickly and with experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
fantastic. Well, guys, that's all the time we have for today, but we really appreciate you taking the time out to come and tell your story. I think our audiences are really going to benefit from hearing your own journey on building a successful IP business, and hopefully inspires others to go and do the same. So thanks very much for being
Thanks for
here.
the opportunity.